my little Brushflies, welcome back to my channel, Brushfly MUA. If you're new here, hi, my name is Mercedes, I'm the face behind Brushfly MUA, and if you are new, remember to hit that subscribe button, and if you're not, welcome back. So, I have decided that I want to do a bit of a declutter of my makeup collection. So I recently put myself on a product specific no and low buy because my collection was getting a bit out of hand. I don't have the biggest house, I don't have millions of storage, so I was like, do you know what, I need to sort of tame it a little bit, and I thought what better way than to have a bit of a declutter. So today is going to be the first part of maybe a little mini series. I might not do one every week, but maybe over the next month or two I'm going to be decluttering some makeup. And today I'm going to start with eyeshadow palettes. So one of the things that I actually put in my product specific no and low buy was eyeshadow palettes, because I have a ridiculous amount of eyeshadow palettes but I only have one pair of eyes and I cannot use them all. So I have gone through lately and I have decided to either look at the colour story, see if it's really me. I've played with a few of the formulas if I've forgotten what they're like, and some of them have just been downright pants and they just need to go. I don't want to keep makeup in my collection that doesn't suit me or doesn't work for me. It needs to go. I want to keep my collection at the moment quite curated, so I know what is in my collection. Sometimes I open my eyeshadow drawers, I've got 3 drawers full of eyeshadows, and I open the drawers and I'm at a loss of what to use. I've started to do a shop my stash so I don't feel so overwhelmed by it. So I put so many eyeshadow palettes in my current makeup basket so I can just grab them at any time and, you know, just play around with those for a few weeks, then chop and change. But at the same time there is still a lot in my collection that I could potentially choose from, and even then it can be a bit overwhelming. So I've taken the ones that are not for me and I'm either gonna give them to friends, my children will probably love playing with them. So I do actually have quite a big box full of them. So I'm gonna have to start going through them because I've got to go get the kids soon as well. So let's start with this one. So this palette is the Vibing palette from Makeup Obsession. So I got this last year in their sale. I think I paid about £5 for the whole collection. It came with a highlighter, a lip gloss and this palette. Now this is not a bad palette. The formula works really well. Like the matte shades that are in here, really pigmented. They're buildable, blendable, workable, and the same goes for the shimmer shades. They work really well, but this is just a very cool toned palette and it's not really me. I don't look at this palette and feel very inspired. I don't think I've picked it up since I reviewed it for that video, so I think it's time it goes. It's very lightly used. I don't know who I'll pass it on to yet, but I'll find someone. So yeah, bye bye to the Makeup Obsession Vibing palette. Next up I have the Kylie Cosmetics Kris Jenner palette. I think it's called the 10%. So this one I actually did really enjoy. The colour story is very neutral for me, which is very unusual because I'm definitely much more of a vibrant eyeshadow type of girl. But I remember using this one on my job interview at my current job and I really enjoyed that makeup look, and you know, it got me the job. I don't think the makeup got me the job, I think it was my winning personality, but at the same time I do have a kind of connection with this, so I'm gonna declutter it. But I might actually make a box or a drawer where I'm gonna keep some makeup that's kind of sentimental to me but is too old to use, and that is why I've decided to get rid of this one. I haven't said that yet. Because I've had this one for such a long time, I've noticed like a few of the shimmers now have hard pan, and because it is an older palette I don't feel that comfortable using it on my eyes anymore. I've noticed like the formula's changed on a couple of the eyeshadow shades, so I'm gonna declutter it, but I'm going to put it away for somewhere for me to remember it in the future and be like, oh yeah, do you remember when I loved that? But you know, not be able to use it because it's old and minging. Next up, I have a Morphe palette. This is the Social Butterfly 15S. Part of me wanted to keep it because it says butterfly, and obviously my channel is called Brushafly. But I just don't use this palette. I have to say I'm not the world's biggest Morphe fan. I just find their formula to be quite inconsistent. Like sometimes I'll have a palette and I absolutely love it. Like I really like the Morphe and Maddie Ziegler palette. And this one was okay, but I just have these colours in so many different palettes that I don't reach for it. I've never used it on this channel. My channel is about 1.5 years old and I have never reached for this palette during that time, and I don't think I'm going to. And I can't even remember what the formula was like. So yeah, I think it's time for this one to go and move on. And you know what? I might have to take my lipstick off because I just did a was that haul worth it? It's just balling up and it's really uncomfortable. Okay, so I've just changed my lipstick. I've gone with the Revolution and Roxy liquid lip in Tokyo because I could not be dealing with that. So yeah, the Morphe palette, bye bye. Okay, so I have 2 palettes from the same collection. So if you've been around on my channel for a little while, recently I reviewed the I Heart Revolution Big Cheese collection, and I was so excited for it because it was cheese and I thought it was different, it was exciting, and it turned out to be pants. I think the only thing I have kept out of that collection is the sponge, which was a mouse. So this was the big palette from the Big Cheese collection. This, for me, just did not work at all. I did not like the formula. It didn't work. It just was not great. I remember struggling so much with this palette that I washed it off and ended up using the smaller palette. And even then, the smaller palette is not fantastic. So both of these I'm decluttering. This is the mini cheese. You know, they both have to go, which is such a shame because it's cheese. I mean, this one looks like a little mini pepperoni pizza slice and cheese. So yeah, they both have to go. I mean, the colour story in the small cheese one is boring. I mean, yeah, it kind of reminds you of cheese a little bit, I guess, but it's boring. This one, the colour story looks so pretty, but it just did not work. The formula was awful. So yeah, they are both out of here. Next up, I have a Revolution Courage Wild Animal palette. So there is actually nothing wrong with this palette, and I did a video, I think at the beginning of the year, where I spoke about Tatty Beauty closing and palette dupes for the Textured Neutrals Volume 1 palette. And this was one of the palettes that I decided in my collection worked really well as a dupe for the Tatty Beauty palette. I'm just going to check my lipstick. Yeah, no, it's dried down okay. After having that one, it's kind of left my lips feeling tingly and I couldn't tell whether that was the product coming off. So, but yeah, I really recommended this one as a dupe for that palette. The only thing is, I have so many palettes and I have the original Tatty Beauty Textured Neutrals Volume 1, so I don't really need the dupe version for it. It's just sat in my drawer. I've not used it for a long time. The packaging is really pretty. The formula in here, stunning. Like, it is actually pretty much the same sort of formula as the Tatty Beauty one, so I would still recommend that as a really good dupe for that palette because I know you can't get it now. Not all the shades are the same, but there are a good few in there that you can replicate and dupe the shades from that palette. Okay, one from I Heart Revolution, or another one. Okay, so I'm really sorry if this video is really disjointed. I've had about 5 phone calls. It's all about my daughter's epilepsy medication. They're really struggling to get hold of it, but the hospital have just phoned to say they've managed to source some, so that is a win for today. So yeah, where were we? So this is the I Heart Revolution Raspberry and White Chocolate eyeshadow palette, and like I was saying, I was really surprised I didn't get on with this one, because normally I love the I Heart Revolution chocolate formula. I love most of their palettes, I have quite a lot of them, but this one for me didn't work. I don't enjoy the colour story. I find it really mishmash and it doesn't make sense. I mean, you know, it's kind of cute, but it's just not for me. So yeah, I mean, I did a look with this and it didn't really work out. When that happens, I'm a bit like, meh, don't want to keep you, so bye bye. Next up I have an Iron Face palette from number 7. This is the Bronze Heat palette. So I have a older one of these. I think it's the Maple Glow, and it's still in the black packaging before they changed to white. I love that palette. I really enjoy the formula, and I've hit pan. This one, although it's okay, it's nothing special. It's kind of like you can't really create many looks. They're kind of really samey. The two highlighter shades at the bottom, while they're kind of pretty, they can only really suit one sort of skin tone. They're not very universal, they're not for everyone, and although they actually suit my skin tone, I just find this palette really boring, which is such a shame because I love number 7. But yeah, to me it's just boring. Whenever I look at it, I don't really feel inspired to use it. I have other palettes that have these shades in that then have other colours with it, which I would much rather use, so yeah. Okay, so I'm actually really sad about this one, but I think I'm going to declutter the Revolution and Nikki Lily cake palette. Now, I know it actually has a name, but it doesn't have a name, like not on the packaging. But the reason I'm going to declutter this is it's actually a really pretty palette. It's very up my street. It's definitely a colour story I would really use. But a lot of the pans, like the shimmer shades, have hit hard pan. Like, I don't know if you can tell, like this one here especially has hard pan, which makes it really hard to use. And this one here, like, you try to pick up the shade with a brush or on your finger and you get like the slightest little amount that comes off, but it's nothing to shout home about, which is really disappointing. I know the hard pan could be from the oils from my own skin. Maybe they've just not mixed very well with the formula. I don't normally have that problem with Revolution products, so I don't know whether it is the oils on my skin affecting it or whether the formula is just different in this palette and they've got hard pan. Has anyone else had that from the Revolution and Nikki Lily collection? And it's such a shame because I love Nikki Lily. And I could potentially, you know, use the tape method where I strip off the top layer so I can still use the product underneath. I do have the matte shades in there that I could use and play around with. But if I'm honest, I have like some of the Friends palettes which are in this same sort of 9-pan format, and they have really similar shades. So I don't think I need to keep a palette that's going to be hard work to use when I have the Friends ones that are going to be okay to use. So I am actually really sad about this one. I did really enjoy it when I got it. I might see if one of my kids want to use it because they also like Nikki Lily, so they might be a bit more happier to have that in their collection. Next up, Revolution and Brats. This is the Yasmin eyeshadow palette. I forgot what it was called then. I did actually really enjoy this when I got it. The packaging is different. I kind of like the different layout. It has a huge mirror, but it is kind of bulky to hold because the mirror is on this bit. Like, you have to hold it like that, and you know, it's a bit of hassle. Now, there is nothing wrong formula wise with this palette, and when I reviewed it I actually said it was one of the best formulas Revolution have done in their collabs other than the Friends ones. But it's not really my colour story. I'm very pink. very purple, very rose gold. I even enjoy a blue. This is very like green toned, sort of going on the side of cooler toned, you know, so it's not really for me. I might see if my kids might enjoy this one because, you know, it's funky, it's Brats, it's cool, you know, so I might just declutter it from my collection and let them have it. If they don't want it, I'll see if someone else wants it. So we have made it to the last two. I've decluttered quite a few. I sounded really English then, didn't I? I've decluttered quite a few. Both of the two at the end are from Huda. So, this one I got when I went to the Glamour Beauty Festival back in 2019. And I'm half tempted to put it in that special box where I put older makeup products that I don't want to use anymore, but they have memories. But at the same time, I'm also just sort of thinking of just getting rid of it. It was nice. It worked. Over the years, I have created quite a few nice looks with it. But I have other eyeshadow palettes in my collection that have similar tones that I use a lot more. I just don't reach for this one. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, the shimmer shades are really, really pretty. They glide on really well. The mattes are very pigmented. They're buildable, work well. But I don't know. I just don't find myself reaching for it. I put it in the chopping block. I think last year I decided to keep it. And then I have never gone back and used it since. So for me, I don't think it's one that I want to keep in my collection. I have so many eyeshadow palettes and I need to start to be a bit more ruthless because I just don't need that many in my life. And the last one I am also really sad about. So this is the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette, and it is actually in my recent Shop My Stash collection, but I just don't gel with this one. I'm actually really sad because I got it for my birthday last year. One of my friends, Backchat Beauty, who's no longer on YouTube, she sent me like a birthday voucher for TK Maxx, and that's what I used to get this. Now, when I used it for my birthday, I did kind of like it. I don't think I was 100% impressed because I didn't really pull it out and play with it anymore, but it was nice. I decided to put it in my Shop My Stash because I was like, oh, I haven't played with that for a while. A few of the shades in the palette, like this one and this one, really intrigue me. And I just don't feel connected to it. I don't feel happy with my makeup whenever I use this palette. I've used it a few times now. Now, I just find, I don't know if it's the tones or the way the formula is, but whenever I use this palette, the looks tend to look quite similar, even if I use different colour shades, and they all tend to just go a bit muddy on the eye. Like, they just don't sit how I want them to, and when I blend out they just sort of muddy together, and it just doesn't create a very pretty eye look that I'm aiming for. And the two sort of shades that really drew me to this palette was Retrograde and Twilight. And Twilight I had to dampen down to get to work properly. Yeah, there's like not really much showing up. Retrograde looks so pretty, but again, they don't really do very much. I think those two shades, if you have the type of eye where you can just put on a pretty shimmer shade, just do the one and done, you know, you're not really looking for any pigmentation, but you just want that bit of glittery shimmer there, I think those are nice. The rest of the shimmers are okay, but again, I don't feel they're anything special. And another thing I found with this palette, like I was using these two shades the other day to create a look, and they are very, very powdery, like borderline Anastasia Beverly Hills subculture powdery. Maybe I'll have to do an experiment on this palette and do like a swirl test, you know, like the beauty news girls used to do. Maybe I'll do something like that and show you how powdery this palette is. Like, it does look pretty, it's very warm toned, it's definitely something that drew me in, but I just don't gel with it. And I do find that with the Huda Beauty eyeshadows, that I just don't really gel with them. Like, they're pretty and they're nice, but they don't really inspire me very much. And when I do use them, they don't work how I want them to work. So today I managed to declutter 12 eyeshadow palettes. I mean, I can't remember what I had at my last check-in. I'm pretty sure it was around like something ridiculous, like in the 70s or maybe the 80s. You know, that's a lot of eyeshadow palettes. So I definitely think decluttering 12 is a great amount. I'm really happy with that. I'm definitely going to still keep working through my collection, try and declutter some more if I really don't like them or use them, and then I have room to, you know, buy some more in the future, you know, which I do want to do. I love buying makeup, it's my hobby, it's what I love, but at the moment I can't justify it when I have so much. So if I can get rid of some, you know, maybe not have to buy 12 more back, but you know, maybe I could allow myself to buy that one palette that's caught my eye and I really want to test out. So really happy with today's results. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry it was a bit disjointed, but yeah, if you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.